Well, good afternoon, and welcome to the March Disability and Business to Business meeting. Excited to have you with us today. I know we still have some folks joining, so just very, very excited to have with us today John Robinson, who you will hear from in just a moment. But first, I want to introduce myself. For those that don't know me, my name is Beth Butler Fatal, and I am with Disability in North Carolina. I serve as the executive director, and very, very excited to have you all with us today. This is, gosh, I guess the third or fourth of our business to business meeting series. And we started these back in November following our fall conference, because what we realized is the annual in-person event that we host in October in recognition of Disability Employment Awareness Month is really one of the times that we get together and have opportunities for networking and just sharing experiences. And we thought, how can we keep this connection going during the other months? And so we decided to launch this business to business meeting series. And our hope is that the topics that we talk about are relevant to your organization and kind of where you are in this journey. And boy, do we have a lot of different topics that we could choose from at this point. That said, it's also really important for us in 2025 for sure, but always to ensure that our member and sponsor companies are maximizing their benefits to the membership here. And so this is an opportunity for you to take a deeper look at topics of interest. One today that we're going to talk about is the access that if you are a sponsor with a silver level sponsorship or above, you have access today to the Our Ability Jobs portal. And so we thought it would be a good idea to invite John Robinson, who is a longtime friend of Disability in North Carolina and certainly a longtime friend of mine. He's been in this space about as long as I have. And that's a long time. But we're excited to have him with us. I also want to remind you that as you continue your planning for 2025, and again, we have so many changes. I know there's information flying every which way. It may be a good time now to start, revisiting or reaffirming your commitment to the ADA and to your accommodations processes, that foundation that we hold on to in the midst of uncertainty. The reality is that disability is not going anywhere. So if you have an interest, again, I invite you to engage with us through our community consulting piece. Or if, again, you have an ERG, BRG program and you want assistance in maybe planning events, or you have a lunch and learn coming up and you want some ideas, this is where we can step in and walk alongside you to develop some programs. So with that, I'm going to pause, and I hope I've talked long enough where we have a few more folks that have joined, and I think we do. So I'm excited for the conversation today. Also, I want to encourage those that are on the call, engage with one another via the chat. If you have comments to make, if you have questions, we will be monitoring that for questions and answers. And I know John is always open to questions. And so if you have a comment or something that you'd like to share during today's presentation, please don't hesitate to do that. With that, Pat, have I missed anything? Is there anything that you'd like to share?
Nope, we're good. I'm Pat Kuehl. I'm the operations director, and I will be watching the chat. So if you've got questions or comments, I'll make sure they get addressed.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we usually do take just a minute to ask folks if they're interested in introducing themselves. So why don't we go ahead and do that? I just invite you to take yourself off mute and if you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us your role and who you're representing today.
I'll start off. This is Sanjay Kumar with the Comrade Group, and we typically do uh, training programs, information technology courses for folks who are unemployed or underemployed, and give them new skills so that they can get reemployment, whether it is AI, cybersecurity, project management, or data science. Thank you.
I can go next. My name's Janice Oliver, and I am the head of talent acquisition for Chiesi USA. And we are a biopharma company. Headquarters are in Cary, North Carolina, and also have a rare disease unit in Boston. And we are part of the larger Chiesi family, Chiesi Group, which is based in Parma, Italy.
We drove by your headquarters recently.
Ah, interesting.
Thank you for being here. You're also a new member, so we appreciate it. Excited
Yes.
to meet you.
Likewise.
Chair Nix, this is Tracy Hamilton. I am a program manager of health equity with WellCare of North Carolina. We are a managed care organization in the state, and we are new members and excited to be here. And I hate that I'm not going to be able to stay on the whole time. I do have another meeting conflict, but I'm glad to be here for the first one. I am also the new DEI Council co-chair for WellCare of North Carolina, and I do that in partnership with Miranda Steele.
Wonderful. Well, great. Well, we do record these meetings, so we'll have that posted and sent out as well.
I'll go next. I'm Teresa DeLeon with Biogen talent acquisition team. I'm actually based out of Cambridge, and I work a lot in recruitment and sourcing of talent in the market.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, Beth and Pat, it's good to see you guys. This is Brian Wright. I'm the founder of WorkPath Partners. We're a human capital management firm based in Charlotte, been around since 2001, and happy to be a disability-owned business enterprise. John, good to see you also. Sorry that I'm not on screen and I've got to head out here in a couple minutes. I'm up at a Capital One program today. But I just wanted to say hello. Happy to be on the board and as the treasurer, and happy to help you guys any way I can moving forward.
Thank you, Brian. And thanks for making time to just jump in. I know you are busy today, so thank you for that.
My pleasure. Good to see you guys.
You too. Anybody else? All right. Well, with that, again, I want to welcome John Robinson, President and CEO of Our Ability Jobs. And John, I don't even know how to introduce you anymore. You've been around for so long. You tell your story better than
I'm old.
You tell your story better than I can. So again, just thank you so much for your partnership, for your tireless commitment to the work that you do, and your efforts to help companies and help individuals with disabilities connect with the businesses that are out there, with the jobs that are available, and you've done an incredible work in creating this portal, and we're just excited to continue partnering. And I know you've got updates that continue, leveraging AI and all the other things. So I'm just excited to have you here, and welcome.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Brian, for listening in on the road. I appreciate that. Yeah, Beth, I think it was 2011 when we started talking about this years and years and years ago in Seattle and then other places. And then some of my favorite times talking about disability inclusion to businesses have been in North Carolina, and that's because of our relationship with disability in North Carolina with Pat and Beth and all of you in business. So I appreciate all of you and what you do, sort of especially at this time, right? When disability is a little precarious in the general conversation, certainly DE and I is, but when you get down to the one-on-one business level, it's not. The work is still being done. And as a person with a disability, a quad amputee that's been disabled my whole life, I am thankful for that. And I thank you, each and every one of you that thinks about people with disabilities in your recruiting efforts, because without you, there wouldn't be opportunities that I've had and that others have had. I'm going to show the website in a second. To our point, to the point a minute ago, this is a technology conversation, and we are presently switching from Azure to AWS today. My coders in India decided to do that, so that's fun. I'll be able to show you what we're doing, but one of the functions won't be visible. So I did put in the chat about a 6.5 minute video, and I urge you to watch it later at your time. I would appreciate if you would do that. The beginning of the story is I remember meeting Beth and I talking to each other about how we did or didn't drive a vehicle. And I bring that up publicly on purpose because I'm a quad amputee. I'm 3'8" without the extension of my arms and my legs. And I've been really lucky in my life in a lot of ways. And I share that with you because I've lived the disability perspective from day one, from birth. Lived the disability perspective about education, going to school, being forced to go to private school because the public school wouldn't educate me, going to Syracuse University to study television, radio, film, and then being unemployed for 4.5 years post-college because the world wasn't ready for me. So I have lived that full experience. And I will tell you, more so than maybe the early discrimination or early questions in high school and college about my disability, the thing that forged me the most was being unemployed after college. You know, multiple interviews, multiple in-person interviews, driving to get to the interview, figuring out how to tuck in my shirt, the 30 minutes a day that it takes to get dressed, you know, all of that, and then going to an interview and hearing no, that I wasn't welcome or wasn't good enough, and yet the perseverance that I put through to get there. And when I did get my first job in 1994, 4.5 years after I graduated college, it was that the sales manager liked, was that I persevered. And that's a big part of this disability employment equation, that as people with disabilities, we are number one problem solvers. We're problem solvers because we've had to learn how to adapt to an able-bodied life. And we do persevere, and we work hard at communicating our needs and our ability. And so those are three skill sets that are amazing to businesses that want to hire. And so I bring that out because that is the beginning of this story. I did ultimately get a good job in the media industry and worked 16 years in the media industry, but I never forgot that time being unemployed. I started speaking publicly about being a person with a disability. Some of the companies that asked me, quite frankly, to come speak to them about my overcoming obstacles and could use it as a sort of sales pitch or sales management pitch to their sales staff. Those talks got bigger. I enjoyed them more than I thought I would. I enjoyed meeting other people. I especially enjoyed meeting other people with disabilities, with obvious disabilities in a corporate setting, and sharing my stories and learning their stories and realizing the stories had some similarities, i.e. perseverance, problem solving, communication. And as I started to formulate that, that's where the genesis of what our ability is today. The speeches got bigger. I left my media job and started our ability. And what we were going to do was start out as a mentor entity that we would mentor individuals with disabilities towards employment through stories of people with disabilities who are successful and of a different generation, so to speak. What ended up happening, though, was on our front page on our .com, which I'm showing you now, we had video stories of people with disabilities that would serve as inspiration and mentors to other people with disabilities. What happened, though, young people that were emailing us every day asking for help, but what they were really doing is looking for a job. And they were coming back to us and saying that they didn't want mentors, they wanted a job. And that's the thing that I've never forgotten. When I get emails every day from people with disabilities looking for employment help. And if you think about that, that's pretty remarkable. That with a voc rehab system around the United States that's pretty robust, with colleges, community colleges, universities that have disability services, we're still here and we're still needed, and people still reach out to us. And they reach out to Pat and Beth as well through disability and on a regional level. And so we realized this. And so we started transitioning from a mentor organization to a job board. And I didn't really want to be a job board. And so it's up here still. It's ourability.jobs. And I'm going to show you some of the functionality that you as members of Disability in North Carolina get. We didn't want to do this. I wanted to tell video stories of people who were successful, but we became transactional pretty quickly to help people with disabilities find you as businesses. And you wanted to post jobs. You didn't want necessarily to provide me with a mentor. And I completely get it. And even today in 2024, some 14 years later, that's held true. There's some other entities that try to make mentor alliances for people with disabilities, and they're very valuable, and I support them. But you know what people want at the end of the day is employment. That's why I got an email last night asking for help finding a job. And that's why businesses reach out to me, is to post jobs. So this is our space, and this is where we are. Our jobs board is something that we, like I said, was sort of an afterthought. We put it up here. We started adding the companies that I spoke at verbally to their business resource group or to their annual meeting or whatever. We'd put the jobs up. Quite frankly, if you paid me to speak back in 2015, I'd put your jobs up. What ended up happening, though, is this is where the Google analytic traffic was going. And so you realize that this is where we should invest our time. At the same time, we were the Disability in New York chapter. So we were doing the same work that Beth and Pat are doing in North Carolina. We were doing it in New York and still are. And we were having friendly relationships, conversations with Work Without Limits in Massachusetts, and Disability in Minnesota, and Virginia Ability, and some others around the country. And we realized, we're doing some similar things, but there's a need in helping people find work. And I keep saying that because at the end of the day, quite frankly, that's the most important thing in my life, was my job. And my job afforded me the family and the house and the pickup truck and the sports tickets that I get, right? It's the job that allowed me that. And I know that. I wouldn't have 3 adult children, if I hadn't had a job. So I remember that every day. And so as we build our jobs board and started thinking about these conversations with our other regional partners, I realized that I had something that could help disability in North Carolina and others. So I reached out and said, if we provide this to you, would you be able to get it out to your members? And so we did. And we've had a great relationship with disability in North Carolina. What we do is relatively basic. We have a portal for individuals with disabilities to log in and tell us who they are. And I'm going to show that to you in a second. And we have a jobs board for you to post your jobs. And in the middle, you meet. And this is what's really important. So if you think about your recruiting efforts, if you think about candidates that come to you that you may not know that have a disability, if you think about disability organizations with states, such as voc rehab or community colleges that present candidates, you may or may not know if a person with a disability is applying. And you may not know, you may not need to know. But what we want is for you to hire our community, right? And so that's why it becomes pretty important. And that's why your relationship with disability in North Carolina is important. that you get the right candidates, and that people with disabilities have the right opportunity. So as members of disability in North Carolina, you have the opportunity to have your North Carolina jobs posted on our public jobs board. This is it. It's ourability.jobs. You can find it on your own computer. There's no gateway, so you can log in right now. You'll notice that we have jobs all over North America and some jobs around the world, which is kind of neat. Presently today, we have 40,618 jobs on our jobs board. But you notice under the filter of company groups on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice that there's North Carolina featured jobs. And these are the jobs that are members of Disability in North Carolina that we put up on our website as part of your membership. And so, here they are, and we're proud to do that. So first step is, if you're on this call, and I heard Biogen a little bit earlier, make sure that your jobs are up here, and that Beth and Pat and I know that you should be up here. I don't put anything up here until Beth or Pat tells me to, but if they do, then we work towards this. The way that we get these jobs is one of two ways. We either scrape your careers page, or we get an XML feed from your applicant tracking system. Quite frankly, would prefer the XML feed. It's a little bit easier. So if you're Wells Fargo, Lowe's, Biogen again, you're gonna, and I'm just picking on you because you're at the top. We want the feed, and we want a logo, and then we'll start putting the jobs. And what we do is we scrape those jobs up and down every day. So if a job comes off, it comes out of our system. If a job comes on, it comes into our system. Again, remember, there's a 24-hour-ish leeway on that. And so this is what we're doing. The jobs are searchable by keyword. They're searchable by state and city. And so it's important. And candidates from around the world can see these jobs. But as members of Disability in North Carolina, your North Carolina jobs are up here as part of your membership. For candidates with disabilities, we've spent the better part of 5 years of, which is probably 10 years of my age, working with Microsoft, working with some students at Syracuse University, and then ultimately building our own coding team. Our Chief Technology Officer, Kartik Sani, comes from Microsoft. He is blind, so he's also an individual with a disability. He's the one coding our system and building our artificial intelligence technology. You all have heard AI and generative AI repeatedly in the media and the news and anything that you talk about. We, 4 years ago, started working with machine learning at Microsoft, now generative AI, to see if we could do a better job of matching people with disabilities to jobs. And so that's what we did, and that's what Kartik convinced me we could do, and that's what we're doing. And so when candidates come to us, yeah, they email me, but what I'm asking them to do is to either create a profile or log in. And you're going to notice every website we have, there's about 3 different ways to do it, and that's purposeful. But we want you to log in. You click login or create a profile. It takes you to the same login page. When you come to the login page for the first time, you're going to register. You can register as a candidate, job coach, or employer, and you're going to create a password. Or you're going to sign in with Google. And quite frankly, the Google login is a little bit easier because we can verify it easier. So one of 2 ways you can do either one, but you come in with Google. If you're a business and you're logging in, you're probably going to register as an employer, and you're going to use I'm going to pick on Biogen now. You're going to use your Biogen email. So you're going to register the old-fashioned way. You're going to ping me and let me know that you've done that, or let Beth or Pat know that you've done that. The reason why that's important is because when you come into the system, you're going to log in the next time. You're going to get a dashboard. You're going to be able to see candidates. You're going to be able to see your job listings. It's really important, once I know you're in here, that I'll tie your Biogen jobs to your account. So you'll see your Biogen jobs. Again, I'm picking on you, sorry. And you'll come in here, you'll see the details of your job, and you'll scroll down, and at the bottom of the screen, once we switch to AWS, you'll see recommended candidates. You're going to look to this tab of recommended candidates, and candidates will populate and be recommended to you based on what's written in your job description. This is really important, that we are doing the match for you in your system and letting you know what candidates match your job. So we've got our algorithm that works for candidates to find you, but more importantly, you can find candidates based on this algorithm. You can also search candidates in general. You can search location or keyword in the old-fashioned way. Then you can view their profile, and you can email them from this view of the profile. So the second thing you're going to do is you're going to let me know you've logged in and registered as a business. I'll tie your jobs to you, and then you can log in and search for candidates. So there's not much work for you to do on your end. We want you to be able to find candidates, and we want candidates to find you. The candidate experience is a little bit different. Again, they'll register as a candidate, or they'll log in with Google. They're going to come into the system. The very first thing that they're going to do is build their profile. They can upload their resume to build that profile. And when they do, we've grabbed most of their information. So most of these tabs have been grabbed because I've uploaded my resume, including skills. And that's important because when we built our algorithm with Microsoft, it was way more than just past work history. And this is my take on being disabled. I realized my work history held me back in my early career, that I was recommended jobs based on what I had done before, not what my ability had turned into through education or training. And so this is really important in our algorithm, which means that we build our algorithm more towards skills and interests and default to work history than anything else. And that's important to our community of people with disabilities. When you log in as a candidate, we ask you questions one at a time. You answer these questions and they become part of your profile. And then the next time you log in on your dashboard, you're going to see jobs that are recommended to you. And that's really important. So this will be populated with jobs that are recommended to you. This is what Kartik's building right now, are changing from Azure to AWS today. So I apologize you can't see that. But what I would say to you is that video that I put in the chat a little while ago will show you exactly how that works. And so you'll see on people's dashboard, you'll see the jobs that are recommended. Those jobs are coming only from our feed. So we are only pulling from our ability.jobs feed. And in most cases, those jobs are coming from a region. And so if you're a candidate in North Carolina, you're going to find North Carolina jobs and be recommended North Carolina jobs based on your ability. And so that's why it's important to get in here. Additionally, things that we're doing.
John,
Yep.
John, I'm sorry. I just have two quick questions, and some people have to leave you early, so I want to make sure they get
Go
in
for
here.
it. Shoot.
Okay. So the first question is, can you provide a step-by-step what you just went over to access the system and use it?
Video. It's on the video.
The video has it. Okay. Second question is, geez, I lost the second question. Hang on a second. A question about the scraping.
Yeah, I see it. So did Janice leave?
No, I left by accident, but I'm back.
You left by accident. All right. So
yeah, just to get in there, to look at candidates, you were showing like how to register in the system.
So I don't know if you can see the past chat before you logged in, but at the very top of the chat, there's the how-to video. And I can repost it if you like, and that will show you everything. And Janice, I am more than willing, and anybody on the call, not just Janice, I am more than willing to do this demo with you and your staff. So if you've got recruiters that you want to do this with, it's no it's no problem to me.
Okay, thank you.
So yes, scraping. Teresa, yes, we scrape all of the jobs in a region. So as a member of Disability in North Carolina, we try to scrape all of your jobs in North Carolina. We do not We do not do a hierarchy of jobs. And that's for a very purposeful reason. We have people with disabilities in here with multiple PhDs. We have people with disabilities in here, high school transition. We don't care why somebody wants a job or what they want. We care that they get a job opportunity. So we don't value one job over another. And it's one of the things I've really fought against. So in Canada, the Canadian National Institute for the Blind is using our system, and they feature jobs. And I have this debate with them constantly because they assume a job can only be done by somebody with specific whatever in their mind. But they've made a pre-assumption that it can't be done. I do not do that. I believe people with disabilities can do the work if they have the skill, interest, and can get the accommodation for pretty much almost anything. Now, I guess I'm not going to be a defenseman for the Hurricanes. I get it. I wish I could be. I can't. I get it. There are some certain instances, but I don't want to limit anything because we've made a preconceived notion. Let's let the algorithm do the work through all of the jobs. That's why we do it. And Pat, if there are more questions, I can't read and talk at the same time, so I'm bad like that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any now, but if I miss anything, I'm counting on these fine folks to poke me and let me know.
And so if you have a question, please verbalize it. I would be more than happy to answer it if you can.
I had a question. This is Teresa. How are we notified if a candidate applies to a role that's posted on the site? Does it go to our email, or do we, check the system? Yeah.
Great job. Great question. Right now, it goes to my email.
Okay.
And I email you, or I email you and Beth and Pat that it's come through. So I will ping you when that happens. We're just about to launch a text out system, so that will notify candidates and you more often, and that can be via email too. So that can be a little bit more intuitive, and we're doing that purposefully. And this is one of the things we're building right now. One of the reasons why we're changing to AWS is more feedback from the candidate. More feedback from the candidate gives us data, and that data helps their profile. That profile helps getting matched to your job. That allows us then, if you're interested, to text you when the candidates come through. And so that's some of the, or email through to you in this case. That's some of the usability functionality that we're building. But right now, I get an email. I know when somebody's applied to everything, and I send it out to the appropriate parties. The reason why it's not instant right now is because there are 2 states where I cannot do it by law. And so I've got to live through those laws. And so I've got to subset that out. And I've got to be pretty careful with that. And I think you said Massachusetts. One of you said Massachusetts earlier.
Yes.
Mass is one of the states I can't do it in. So it's I've got to do it a different way, which hence the text, which I can do.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, John, this is Beth. I see another question in terms of how can a person search for a remote job, making kind of where they live irrelevant? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah. In the profile, the candidate can pick remote, hybrid, in person, or no preference. It's the second question we ask them. They can change it at any moment. That's really important. It's important post-COVID for every obvious reason in the world. But it's also important because your job descriptions are starting to show those words and phraseology more and more. And so we're grabbing that out. And this is really important in this aspect, especially. We don't just look for the word virtual. We don't just look for the word remote in a keyword search, which is what you would do. In most jobs boards do that. We're looking at the phraseology of everything you're asking for. So you may phrase remote work differently, but we built in our AI algorithm to look for that phraseology and make those job recommendations back to the candidate. And that's important. When we built our language modeling, we looked at phrases way more than keywords, and We talk to numerous job developers in the disability community. We talk to numerous schools, disability partners, and businesses on phraseology. And so that's one of the differences. And it started with that remote hybrid virtual language that's evolved over time, but still important. And so you're right, location isn't as important if the candidate is willing to either work remote, hybrid, or relocate. Well, if you've got other questions, please interrupt me. But one other thing that we're doing, and you may have noticed it on the job board, you'll notice it if you go to .jobs at some point. Some of the companies are flagged with a green check mark, and we have run an ableist language filter on the back end of our system for 3 years now, and it's allowed us to build up ableist phraseology. And we've done that because we've known that ableist language has been a deterrent to people applying for positions in certain cases. And so that ableist language is there. It's a feature that we make available to some of our partners. We do it on a side arrangement. If one of your companies is interested in that, we can talk about that with Pat and Beth, so not against them, but with them. And then we provide that service to you, and then we put that check mark against your job descriptions. What we end up doing is working with you on your language and your job description. We don't out you for bad language, so you don't see a red X next to the job description. What we do is work with you, show you what may be deemed as ableist, and leave it up to you to change it or not. And so it's a service that we provide. It's a private service. Again, it's not something we out anybody on. And only people get the green check mark is if they're working with us. So we're not making assumptions that others are bad by any stretch of the imagination. We're just not looking at the language in that capacity.
So nobody gets a scarlet letter.
No, nobody gets a scarlet letter.
Good
No, I
to
don't think
know.
that would be good if we did that.
No, I don't think so. I do want to point out that with the silver, gold, and platinum level membership to DINC, you get to use our ability at a significant discount. If you came to John straight up, he would have to charge you more. But because he likes us, he gives us a great break.
Well, and to that end, Pat, I think the other thing that I want to call out is to make sure we know that turnover happens. And so inevitably, talent acquisition team members may come and go. So I want to make sure that those that are on today's call that know that you are at that level and eligible for this, that we have the right contact so that you're linked and the job scrape that we're talking about is happening for your company. So, if that's not the case, or if you feel like you're kind of disconnected, that's something we need to know, and we can make that connection to John and his team and make sure you're up and running so you're getting the full benefit.
I have another question too. Sorry, Teresa, again, apologize. Are you, so two parts. So are you based out of North Carolina? Because I know this is, it said, North Carolina. And then the other question was, we are a global company, so we hire, in and out of the US. Would we focus on roles just US based, or how would it work?
Yeah, so we are I'm in Albany, New York. So I started this in the capital of New York State. For a lot of reasons. Mainly it's because where my children are being raised. So this is where home is. But knowing that the work that we were trying to do to help build employment was throughout New York State, and then throughout the United States, and then throughout the world. So it grew from here. We started working in North Carolina and other regions because of the like-minded work that Disability in North Carolina and other regional partners were doing. So that's why we partner with Beth and Pat. Our jobs board though is yes, North Carolina. So that's part of your membership. Yeah. Your North Carolina jobs are there. If you're interested in national jobs or international jobs to be posted, then I can turn that on. We would just have to come to an agreement. And so that's something that we can talk about financially offline. And I will say to you, though, is if you do that, I will discount that based on your work with North Carolina. So I'd say that out loud because I don't ever want a scenario where you're using your North Carolina money to fund national work. I am a big believer in regional partnerships. It's why I've done this. And so, yes, we would love to work with you on your national jobs, but it would be not at the expense of North Carolina. And so that's really important for me to say.
Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yep. And
John, we applaud you at that. You're
Yeah.
not you're quite unique in your spirit of collaboration and partnership.
well, it's because we've done this work in New York State. We're not the New York State affiliate anymore, but we still get called into every governor's meeting because we know the disability providers, we know the community colleges, we know the people with disabilities, we know the businesses. So we're doing this work. I would not want somebody to come into New York and then take that our money that we get paid for a national organization. That would, I don't think that's right. I think there's a place for national organizations. I think there's a place for us with you, but not at the detriment of North Carolina. So, we will discount our national rate based on what you're doing there.
Thank you, John. We appreciate that so much.
Yep.
I will interject that not everybody that is aware that our affiliate is a freestanding organization. We do not receive financial support. We receive other types of support, but not financial support from the National Disability In group. So it's on us to build our own programming, and we're okay with that because we feel like there's a real value in being at the grassroots and working at the local level. As much value as there is on the national and international value, it's just a different space that needs time and attention.
Pat, I think it's really important you say that. I think a lot of national companies don't know that. I think they assumed we all got money from national. We're doing this on our own, and it's one reason I'm a big believer in it.
Right. And I would also add, I mean, it also gives us the flexibility to meet the needs of our individual member companies as well. And so there are instances where companies want to just dip their toe in the water, and they're here in North Carolina and they've got a presence. And, I know that's happened several times. They come to us and say, we want to be a part of this exciting work that's happening here in North Carolina. They join us, and then they take that next step and join at the national level. My hope is that, again, that work still continues. I think there's a place for both entities to coexist, and this local work, again, is where we get to be the boots on the ground. We get to engage locally with ERGs or BRGs that are doing tremendous work in the community and so forth. So it really is a unique situation, and we work hard here to diversify our offerings and our programs, and we couldn't do it without the member sponsors that walk up alongside us. So, and again, we have been partners for a long time, and John, I appreciate the heart that you come with in this work, and I think that's why you find success, is that you're in it for the right reasons. So I so appreciate it.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you very much. And anybody wants to reach out, please do. I'm more than happy to help out.
So Beth, since you brought up ERGs and BRGs, I'm going to make a short plug in that direction as well. Sometimes those groups don't have major budgets. And many of them don't have the ability necessarily to be the ones that get sent to the big national conference. And so that's why we fill that gap. We're smaller. We can do things at a smaller scale and a more intimate scale in terms of meeting needs. So if you have an ERG or BOG that needs assistance with content or speakers or ideas, we have no shortage of ideas here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question. Is anyone on the call new to Disability in North Carolina and you're not a member and you want to learn more at some point in time? Because if you are, just put it in the chat box and we'll reach to you. And if you're an existing member but want to deepen your relationship or learn more about benefits you may not be using, let us know, because we also want to make sure that you get what you need from this membership.
I don't know, to be honest with you, if we're a member or not. I think we just joined. I was forwarded the information at like 3:25. I happily have done, but I'm not sure. So
here you go.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Jen.
you know what? You're actually not on my list of registrants. So did they forward you what they had their registration?
They did. They forwarded me an
Okay.
invite. Yes.
Okay. Do me a
What-
favor and put it in the chat for me just directly and or the group if you care. So I'll make sure that we reach back to you, Janice.
Thanks.
And Pat, there's another comment in there from Sanjay.
Okay.
So for you.
For me.
From
Okay.
Janice.
Well,
From Janice.
Great. And Janice, who are you? Your company you're with who?
PAC.
Yes. Yeah, you guys are members.
oh, yeah. You are a member.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But this is your first time having a representative at one of these calls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Yes.
Yeah. Which is fine. You know, sometimes you do good things and then a lot of stuff happens in the meantime and you don't get around to finding out why you joined this group and what they're about. So we're all over that. We know everybody has very, very busy lives.
I think it's wonderful. I'm glad I joined.
Well,
We're
thank
glad you
you.
did too.
And I do know that you all also recently joined National, as I understand it too. So that I believe I saw that as well. So congratulations on that. You may you may not know that, but our national organization. So and for those that are on the call, I know registration is open for the national conference that's happening in July in Orlando. And I'll keep reminding folks as well, but as we get closer to that date, I always try and pull together our North Carolina contingent at that conference as well. So I want to make sure that we stay connected and we use that time in Orlando as an opportunity to meet one another. So, you know, please keep us updated too if you're planning to make that trip. All right, John.
And Beth, you probably want to take a minute and talk about wellness at work, which is coming up shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to just, John, are you finished? Are there any other last comments or questions that you have?
Nope, I'm done. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Pat. Like I said, reach out if you have questions, anybody. And we, again, we applaud you recruiting people with disabilities. We thank you for that.
Well, thank you for your continued partnership. And we couldn't do what we do without you. So thank you. So with that, yes, as Pat said, we are in the planning of our Wellness at Work event. And in fact, I have a meeting this evening to put more details together on that. But that is happening on May 8th, Thursday, May 8th. This year, our focus is going to be on post-traumatic stress, resiliency and recovery. And we have two incredible keynotes, both of whom have served in the military and will share their stories around resiliency and their recovery. And so I encourage you, this is a great opportunity to engage your ERGs that are both focused on disability, maybe mental health, but also your veterans, BRGs or ERGs would be a great event. We encourage you to even do a lunch and learn and use this event as an opportunity to bring folks together. May is Wellness at Work or Mental Health Awareness Month. And so it's an opportunity again to heighten awareness and to grow the conversation within your organization. So more to come on that, but mark your calendar for Thursday, May 8th. And the time will be roughly 11:30 to 1. So it's right there around the lunch hour. It is a virtual event, and we'll have registration opening up fairly soon. So be on the lookout for that. And with that, again, I want to thank you all for joining today. This is recorded, so for those that may want to pass along to other members of the talent acquisition team that weren't able to join the call, if you want to reach out to us and make sure that, again, we've got you connected with John the way you need to. He's got the links that, he can perform those daily scrapes and do all the magic that he does in the system. Please reach out. We'll make sure that those connections happen. And again, thank you for your continued commitment to this very, very important work. And we are here for you. We're not going anywhere, and look forward to continuing to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you.